And we're live. Welcome back to another edition of Fiercely Local with Marine Bank. My name is Sean Williams, and I am joined in the studio with the Assistant Police Chief of the Port St. Lucie Police Department, Mr. Richard Del Toro. Rick?
Thanks for having me today, brother.
Good to see you. It was interesting. I was thinking before we did this about how long we've known each other. I mean, it's been a long time. How long has it been?
Oh, at least 25 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a long time, and I remember back when we first met. It was at the old gym, TNT.
The old TNT gym in Darwin Square. That was it.
And you were driving. What impressed me most about you was, usually young guys want to have a really cool car at that age, but you were driving something that I thought belonged in a World War II museum. I mean,
it was an '87 Pontiac Grand Am that needed a quick Mako paint job, but I knew the difference back then between wants and needs.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, you did.
And I'm driving a much better car nowadays, so it's paid off.
Well, that's good. Well, you're driving a police car around, so I mean, we've known each other a long time. But for those who don't know you, tell us, who is Rick Del Toro?
So first, I'm a father and husband. Been married for 25 years to my beautiful wife, Daniela, and we have two beautiful daughters, Karina, who's 21, and my daughter, Allie, who's going to be 18 in December. My oldest daughter, Karina, is a nurse and works at Tampa General Hospital. My wife's a realtor, and my youngest daughter is a senior in high school. So that's my primary job. My secondary job is being the Assistant Chief of Police at the Port St. Lucie Police Department, where I've been working there for the last 24 years. And I've worked in various assignments throughout my career, from patrol to being a detective to the SWAT team, internal affairs, which always gets a bad rap, but it's really not as bad as people make it out. And my current assignment, I oversee all of the patrol operations. So anybody you see in uniform is basically under my command, which is right around a couple hundred people.
Wow,
so, yeah.
It's a big responsibility.
Absolutely.
Now, what attracted you to law enforcement? You've been in, you said, 24 years. How'd you get started? What attracted you to it?
So what got started, my father was a police officer. My uncle was a police officer. I have multiple cousins who are police officers, so we're a police family. Coming out of high school, I would say I was an average student. That would be putting it nicely, not showing off, not falling behind.
Takes one to know one.
Not showing off, not falling behind. My brother kind of set the bar high, straight A student, but I had other talents, and I've learned through that experience actually that with having two kids, they're both completely different. You can't have the same expectations for both. They have different talents, but. So I didn't want to go to college right away, and law enforcement back then was more of a type of blue-collar work. You didn't really need a formal education. At least I didn't think so. I saw my father, who graduated high school, had a couple college credits, had a successful career in law enforcement, made a good living. I didn't realize how much overtime he had to work to make that living back then, which I found out when I got into this job. It wasn't the highest paying field. I think I started right around $28,000 when I started in this career. About $14 an hour.
Wow. Yeah.
So, but there's always, I've always had what I needed, and the city's been very good to me over the years and had a lot of promotions. But my dad had that sense of pride wearing that uniform. I always look back. I wish I would have went to the military, because I think I really would have enjoyed that type of career. But here, I feel like I'm serving on the front lines here, in the United States, and guarding our community. And I take a lot of pride in that, and I get a lot of fulfillment out of that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wanted to ask you that if you hadn't gotten into law enforcement, what do you think you would have done? So it would have been the military, the armed
forces? Probably military. I'm not sure if I would have made a career out of it, but that's something I look back on and wish I would have done.
Any particular branch?
Probably the Marines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just I don't know, something, the few, the proud, the Marines. It just catches. It's a good advertising slogan, and it's very catchy. So.
Well, you've had a long career, and I'm sure it's had its ups and downs and that sort of thing. What's the biggest challenge that you've faced as a law enforcement officer, or personally?
Yeah, so we face a lot of challenges each and every day in law enforcement, but I think the thing about challenges, what's good about challenges is, you find a lot about yourself, you find out a lot about the organization. The one thing we all have in common, I believe, in life is problems. No one's excluded to them. I don't care how perfect everything looks on Facebook or social media. We're all dealing with challenges. So, professionally, the challenges I've dealt with is probably being in a command level, executive level position at such a young age, dealing with the growth of the city. You know, the city of Port St. Lucie, when I started, was around 70,000 people. We're now about 220,000, seventh largest city in the state of Florida, you know, with an expected population of 350,000 residents. So there's tremendous growth. There's a tremendous expectation of service, and you know, we have to meet those demands. So, you know, that weighs on me, you know, each and every day, because you know, I have high expectations of myself, I have high expectations of the officers, and I'm very demanding of the officers, and we have a very high level of accountability in the organization. And I tell them, you know, you're never going to thank anybody for expecting very little out of you, you know, and I wouldn't demand so much out of them if they couldn't do it. And I know they can do it. I work with some great people. We have great people in the organization, top to bottom. So I expect a high level out of them, but I also expect a high level out of myself, and I hold myself to that standard as well. I'm never going to ask anybody to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. So it's a great organization. We're meeting those challenges each and every day. But I would just say the growth and the expectations are really the biggest challenges we face each and every single day.
What would you say was your proudest moment in your career so far?
Proudest moment in my career, probably just having the opportunity to serve each and every single day. You know, I'm not very shy about my faith. I don't try to push my faith on everybody, but I'm a big believer in God and in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And I really believe that, you know, Jesus was the ultimate servant leader. I believe we were built in His image. And I feel like that's why we feel so good when we serve other people, is because we're fulfilling what we were created to do. And so my proudest moment each and every day is getting up each and every day knowing that I can make a positive impact in this community, make a positive impact in someone's life, maybe not even knowing that we've done it. You know, it could just be, you know, greeting someone the right way or helping them, you know, helping them solve their problems. But I get a lot of satisfaction out of that. I get a lot of realization, too, that I understand that this is a rented title. You know, I'm not one of those people that this is my identity as a person. You know, I'm Rick Del Toro, the person. I'm not assistant chief. You know, that's a rented title. That's an honor. That's a privilege that I have to do each and every day, and it's going to have a time, a start and an end date at it. And I just hope that I could walk away one day knowing that I did the very best that I could, and people look at me saying, you know what, he did it the right way, and if I was going to follow in someone's footsteps, I'd want it to be him. So that's what I strive for all the time.
Yeah. And what do you think about, you know, the various misconceptions of law enforcement that float around out there? I mean, what do you think is the biggest one out there right now?
The biggest misconception of law enforcement, in my opinion, is that law enforcement gets painted with a very, very broad brush. So, and I'll give you an example. You know, there's 18,000 agencies throughout this country. Not every agency does things the same way. So whatever happens in Minnesota, they think is Port St. Lucie. Whatever they see happen in New York, they think is Port St. Lucie. And that's not the case. You know, out of those 18,000 agencies, only 800 are internationally accredited. So in Port St. Lucie Police Department is one of those agencies that's accredited. Now people say, well, what does accreditation mean? Well, it means we have over 400 of the highest policies and standards in place at the agency that are best practices recommended. We have an outside body that comes in and evaluates us of whether or not we're meeting those standards. And if so, we then become accredited. We've been accredited for over 30 years. So we have the best practices in place. And, you know, having the best practices in place doesn't mean that you're going to do everything perfect. Okay, I don't want to say that.
Right.
But I think if you have the best practices and training in place, you're more than likely to have better outcomes. And I think that's one of the things we've been so successful about. And so when I see people criticize law enforcement and paint us with that brush, I think that's a big misconception, saying, you know, all law enforcement does things this way. Those agencies might not be doing best practices.
Right.
And when I hear about reform, the reform that I think that needs to be out there is that every agency should have to be accredited. You know, you would not go to a college that's not accredited. You wouldn't go to a doctor that's not board certified.
Right.
Why should you be served by a law enforcement agency that's not accredited? And so to me, that's the biggest misconception and something I think that we can improve upon. But it's going to take the leadership at levels of the International Association Chiefs of Police, the leadership of Congress, Senate to demand those types of performance standards for law enforcement, because I think that's really what's going to see the change that we want to see as a nation.
And the proof's in the pudding, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
Port St. Lucie is kind of a blue ribbon city in terms of its safety.
We have been the safest city with populations over 100,000 for 13 straight years. We're very, very proud of that. I mean, when people come to a city, the first thing they want to know, is it a safe community? And followed up by, you know, is there clean drinking water and everything else? But I mean, schools, you want to know that it's a safe city, and we are a safe city. We're very proud of that. That's like our Super Bowl rings. We're, you know, Some people get tired of hearing about it, but I never get tired of saying it. So it's something we're very proud of, and I'm proud of the men and women that do the job each and every day to make that happen.
Now, what advice do you have for a young person that's thinking about making law enforcement a career?
My advice to them is make sure you want to do things for the right reasons. Again, you have to have that servant mindset. This isn't a job you want to get into if you just want to get a paycheck. I mean, you can make a good living. There's good benefits. Like I said, working for the city, I've never had a bad day. They treat me very well, and I love working for the city of Port St. Lucie. It just has to be something that you want to do. If you want to come here and be more about entitlement and about yourself, I don't think this is the right career for you, because there is no entitlement. You know, you have to earn the public's trust each and every single day. You do that with each and every contact you have. You know, I tell people, especially our new recruits, all the time, everybody here has a chance to improve the image of this police department one contact at a time. Not everybody, you know, growing up, you may not have ever had contact with law enforcement, but if you did, it might be just that one time. And if it was a negative contact with us, that's going to be their whole perception of the Port St. Lucie Police Department. So you got to try to remember, we're out here to provide a high level of service. People are paying for that service. So I think it's a business relationship. That's why we focus on superior customer service. That doesn't mean you have to roll out a red carpet and, give bad guys a pass. You know, you're still arresting bad people.
Sure.
But the average person out here, I would say 90% of our calls are for trivial matters, problem-solving issues. And so if you just treat people how you want to be treated, follow that golden rule, I think you're going to have a high level of success and make a positive impact. And I think, what you saw the last couple of years with that negative mindset towards law enforcement throughout the nation, and what everybody saw didn't happen in Port St. Lucie. I saw nothing but positivity in Port St. Lucie towards the police department. I can't walk into a restaurant or a store without someone thanking me for my service, or paying for my lunch, or buying me a cup of coffee. And I think it's a reflection of the service we provide, that high level of customer service and that dedication, doing things the right way. And we're appreciated for it. We've grown with this community, and we have a very big community partnership. I mean, I see you out at events all the time. You see me out at events. You can't wait for a crisis to happen to have a connection with people. You have to be building those connections all throughout. And it's good for business, and this is a business, and we're trying to run it that way. And but that would be my advice would be to people: if you're going to get into it for the right reasons. Get into it to serve others, not just serve yourself.
Yeah, let's talk about your community involvement. I mean, you're involved in the community. You've got some organizations that are near and dear to your heart.
I'm going to one right after this. That's why I'm dressed the way I'm dressed. We're going to build a park up at JC Park. So one of a few days, and I'm happy to help out there. But I serve on many boards. I've past president of the Boys and Girls Club of St. Lucie County, president of Treasure Coast Hope for the Homeless Foundation. I'm also sit on the Children's Services Council, was governor appointed by then Governor Rick Scott. So I love in my position. What's cool about my position is it's not that they're asking Rick Del Toro to be there. They're asking the assistant chief to be there. So because of that, I get to go out and make a lot of connections with people that otherwise I wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet. I know you're going to have a few guests here today I've met through because of my jobs. And I'm just blessed to have been able to do that, because it's just been life-changing for me. And we've all worked together to use those relationships to better this community. And that's kind of what I kind of see happening. We were a lot younger as we were coming up the ranks, but it's kind of like our turn now in the community to really use our positions to better the community and leverage that and be kind of a force multiplier. And we're all excited to do it. It's going to be a really exciting time.
Yeah, and I'm excited. I'm excited to bring people in and be able to focus on all the great things that are happening in the community. But you work a lot.
Yes, we do.
What do
That's okay.
That's all right. That's what do you do in your spare time? I mean, how do you have?
My spare time is it's limited, but when I do have time off, I love to spend time with my family. I love to spend time golfing with my friends, and really just cherishing those moments and living each day to the max. When I go to sleep at night, I'm pretty much wiped out, because I left nothing on the table that day, and I sleep very good. But it's I always tell people, I'm living my dream. If I'm sleeping, don't wake me up, because you're going to ruin the best dream I've ever had in my life. I've been so blessed, and I want to just pay those blessings forward to other people. I love doing it, and it's never a bother for me to go to an event or help somebody out. I really get a lot of self-satisfaction out of that, selfishly. Yeah. But hopefully, we're going to be a better community for it in the long run.
Well, I just have one more question,
Sure.
And it has to do with the community. I mean, we have a wonderful community here, and what do you think makes our community unique? What do you like best about it?
What I think makes this community unique on the Treasure Coast in St. Lucie County specifically is it's a very giving community. So anytime there is a need in this community, people step up and meet that need, and they donate, they give freely. I mean, you're going to have some people on here, on your show in the future that are just givers. That's the one thing I think we all have in common, and that's why we all get along so well, is we love to give of our time, our treasure, our talents. And that's what makes this a special community. If there's ever a crisis going on or someone needs help, this community steps up in a big way. And not that it doesn't happen in other communities. I can only speak for what I see in St. Lucie County, but it's very special, and I hope we never lose that and we continue to kind of pay that forward.
Well, on behalf of the people of our community, thank you for everything you do.
Oh, thank you,
Thank
brother.
you for
I
coming in
appreciate
today
it.
to
Yeah,
tell
it was
your
awesome.
story. And
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. This has been Fiercely Local with Marine Bank. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, brother.